Let me ask you a few questions before we start.
Yeah, absolutely.
Question number 1. What do you want to get out of this session?
I want to get better at solo carrying.
Question number 2. What do you feel like your weaknesses are currently?
If I'm engaging, because I play Oath and Brawl, I think I definitely tunnel vision a bit. There's definitely some micro mistakes I make, but mainly just like having better map awareness, understanding like what moments are good for me to just go in and like play all out, and which moments are better for me to just like play chill.
All right. And then question 3. How are you actively working on correcting your mistakes?
So right now, I'm pretty much just reviewing my VODs, watching over, looking at the mistakes I'm making, thinking about like what I can do better. But I'm kind of reaching a plateau in that sense where I've been doing that kind of consistently, yet I'm not seeing too much improvement. So I would really love like some outside perspective just to see what I'm doing wrong.
All right. So the questions for me. We can go ahead and get started. Go ahead and share your screen, and then I'll let you know my thoughts. Is this from a solo queue game, by the way, or is this a scrim or something?
These games are all from this morning. I did a bunch of solo queue and some with duo queue, but it was pretty much solo queue. Let's go ahead and play. Let me know if you want me to skip forward or whatever.
Actually, I want you to pause right now. All right. So, when does the game start?
As soon as you drop, or as soon as you see this drop zone.
The game starts the second you start locking in your characters. So, this game you locked in Oath, correct?
Yep.
All right. Do you understand how your character interacts with your team comp?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Can you explain to me what Oath's job is in this team comp right now?
So, assuming this is like a more organized team comp, my goal is to be a disruptor. I use my ult either to engage or disengage. I mainly use my shield bash to like block big abilities like Ghost Q, Myth, a single Myth ult charge. I peel for my team, and I use my heal to res if needed.
I think you're thinking too general about Oath's playstyle. I mean, like, specifically, how do you interact with the characters that are on your team right now? Like, how does Oath supplement Void, Kingpin, Ghost is what I want to know.
Gotcha. I think I work really well with Void. We can like kind of position together, flank together. I don't think I play with KP that much. Kind of like plays for the hook. And then in terms of Ghost, I mainly play peel for him if I'm playing with him.
All right. I would say as Oath here, the way I look at this comp is you're probably going to be a secondary source of engage, or you're probably going to be the person who is following up on whatever happens and trying to get it like a pick off of that, right? I don't think Oath here is the primary engage. I think that's your Void and your Kingpin. So what that means is within this game, I expect you to be in general, not always obviously because there's going to be exceptions, I expect you to be following up on Void stuns with your ultimate and one-tapping people. I expect you to be following up on hooks from Kingpin or slams from Kingpin and one-tapping people. I don't expect it to be the other way around. Void and Kingpin have much more reliable ways of actually initiating the fight in terms of like actually getting the stun off, which will lead to your one-tap combo. So I expect you to be playing around them, and the Ghost in this comp honestly doesn't really do too much. He exists, and I mean, he's just like a damage dealer, right? There's not really too much coming out of him. But my thoughts going into this game are I don't want you going super far forward because that pulls your Ghost away from where he wants to go, and Void's also not that fast of a character. So those two characters specifically are going to have a really hard time following up. I want you to like play more controlled around the Void Kingpin and let them be the ones to make plays, and you just follow up and one-tap people on it.
Gotcha. Does this apply to a solo queue setting though?
Not necessarily, but I think it's good for you to look at how your character interacts with these other characters on your team, right? And even though, you're not going to necessarily apply that game or that game plan in solo queue, if you end up in like scrims or something like that, or you end up in like a competitive, you can understand what your role would be in the team, right? I think it's important for you to take that away. Even if obviously like you're playing solo queue, these teammates are going to be like silver or gold or whatever, potentially. I actually don't know any people on the team, so I don't know their elos, but maybe that even speaks more to it. You're not going to have like the best quality gameplay, right? Coming from your teammates.
Yeah. I will say all of these games, I'm pretty much just playing for myself.
That's fine. I still want you to identify how your character, in theory, works around the other characters in your team. Even if you don't end up executing that, I wouldn't execute this game plan like this personally in solo queue. Obviously, you're going to run around and kill people. It's still important to know, I think, especially if you want to play at a, or if you're, I'm assuming your goal is to play at a higher elo, right? Or to like play like competitively in some aspect.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
if you play
that's good
competitively
input
with like
though.
teams and whatnot, this is how you're going to be playing around people on your team. All right, let's go and
Gotcha.
start. What is your thought process in the early game? So obviously you want to farm, right? But like, how are you thinking about farming off the drop? Or like, what's your ideal?
So personally for me, for solo queue, my thought is I want to leave my team and I want to hit level 7 ASAP. And then I'll look for like a third party kill or I can group up with my team.
Yep, I think that's a pretty standard game plan for solo queue. Right here, let's see what happens in the fight. You don't have shift up. You saw another team dropping on top of you earlier. You saw them up here. I think this is a bot team. Yeah, it's the bot team comp. You did see them drop earlier, so assuming you were paying attention, you should know these guys are here. You should never be positioned upward. You should be positioned down on the bottom side of this mob, and you should never be dead here. This death is pretty autopilot-y. I think you should literally never die here because you had full intel of them, and they're all level 1. It's also literally bots, so doubly we
Yeah,
shouldn't
that's
die
fair.
here.
That's fair. That's fair.
We'll skip past that though. I'll just say that's autopilot. It is what it is. Happens. Let's see. You drop and then immediately start fighting. You shift up this whole time. All right. I think first thing I notice is if you did the one tap combo here, you could have killed the Shrike instantly. Do you know what the one tap combo is?
What's the one tap combo?
It's charge LMB, left shift, and shield bash all at the same time. If you did this Shrike would have died instantly, and you would have been able to get out by putting your shield up. Instead, what happens is you're sitting here trying to auto attack, and then you get collapsed on by 3 people. Do the one tap, you can get out of here and then chill.
Sorry, could you repeat the one tap combo?
Yeah, I'll write this down. So let's see. It's not literally one tap, it's like half HP, but I call it one tap. I don't know why. So it's gonna be charge LMB, and then let go of LMB into left L shift into shield bash. I can actually demonstrate that here. Let me pull up my game real quick, and I'll whip out the oath.
I do know of the combo. I just in my head, if I tried to charge LMB in front of her, she would just shoot me, no?
Well, she's
I
just
could
shooting you
charge it with
anyway,
my-
because she's just shooting you regardless,
true.
right? But if you know the combo, then I won't go ahead and demonstrate it. It's pretty simple to do. Right there, you can just do it, and then put your shield back up. Are you aware that using your shield gives you left shift back, as it takes damage?
Yeah.
All right, so how I would play out this fight personally is I would look for the one tap on him, then put up my shield, try to get my left shift back, and then left shift out. I get the kill, and then I'm pretty safe too.
Yeah.
So one other thing I noticed is you level up your heal here, and then you end up healing the ground. It happens. It's something that we'll watch out for in later fights too. If you end up doing it pretty often, it's something I want you to write down and make note of to constantly track it. But it's something that happens from occasion.
Yeah, that is something that is a mistake I make too often, I think.
Okay, let's see your pathing so far. So right here, your pathing looks pretty good. Your teammates UAV or his global oracle can't tell, but you see everyone else is on the other side of the map, and the entirety of Chaos Steps is open. So you can farm all this place up, hit level 7. I'm actually surprised you came back here towards Koba. What was your reasoning for this?
I knew that Koba was empty, so I was just gonna take the camp and then the leader.
Do you think it wouldn't be more worthwhile to do Chaos Steps and then get Endless Reaper, and then potentially recall, and then group up with your team that way with the power spike from Endless Reaper? You know no one is around this side, so you can solo this really fast.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe I should have. I kind of just wanted to be closer to the center of the map.
In my opinion, what I would do here is I value the weapons a lot because getting upgrades from shards and whatnot is quite difficult, and it takes a lot of farming for you to actually get your weapons up. So even if a weapon like Endless Reaper is not the best for Oath, I still think having a red weapon where you're having like 200 plus AP from it versus this thing is giving like 80 right now, I think, your white weapon, that is a huge difference in damage. And I think it's worth the tempo for you to just go for this Endless Reaper and then recall and then take a fight over here. You're basically increasing your damage by like 30% or something by having this, I think. Or you're at the very least you're increasing your AP by like, yeah, you're like doubling your AP right now if you get this.
Okay, that's fair. What would your pathing be then?
The way I would path is I would path over here, hit level 7, go do Endless Reaper, or hit level like 6.5 or whatever and hit 7 off of doing the Endless Reaper, and then I would recall and group up with my team and try to use that as a power spike to run down the map, because now you have your ultimate, you have a bunch of AP from the Endless Reaper, you have Endless Reaper itself, which is obviously overpowered, and it should be much easier for you to run the game. As it stands, you can go to Koba, or actually tell me your game plan from here. What is your game plan from going to Koba?
My game plan is to hit level, like to get my levels ASAP, and then to group up with the KP. Because KP is the only one who was like GM, so he's the only person I kind of try to play around this game.
Yeah, it's not a bad game plan. I just think you can do it while getting more power. I think if you do, that's probably similar to what I would do. I would do KO steps, get the Endless Reaper, and then group up and try to farm kills with like whoever I would consider the decent player on my team, right? If you end up getting one. If not, I would just start playing solo and try to look for picks and stuff.
Yeah, fair.
So right idea, I just think the execution could be better. I think you should value, or I don't know if you are, we'll see maybe in other VODs, but I think you should value the weapons extremely highly, especially coming in future patches where it's going to cost gold to upgrade them. It's going to make it so you're so much more far ahead than the rest of the lobby, because after blue, it becomes exponentially harder every single time to upgrade your weapon. So if you get things like Endless Reaper or whatever, especially if it's free like that, just take it for the tempo. Let's see.
Yeah.
So here you hit 7, blah, 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 good stuff. All right, you get in a fight. Kind of nitpicky here, but I think you end up left shifting out late. I'm fine with you looking here and then dropping auto attacks or whatever, but the second you see him swinging in, you should left shift immediately, so that way he's not able to get damage on you. By letting him do this, he has the opportunity to dunk, and if he didn't miss that dunk, you'd be dead right now, right? But not only that, he got damage on you as well. If you left shifted out instantly the second he started coming in on his tether, none of the damage would come. You wouldn't be anti-healed right now, and you'd have an easier time fighting.
Yeah.
Something to think about. Let's see. End up fighting more here.
Oh, I fuck up here, I remember.
So one thing you can do that I'm not seeing here is you can let go of glider as you're going through the rings to get more momentum. So what you do is the second you go through the ring, you let go of the glider, and the second you're about to take the ring again, you use your glider. So you just constantly like go and let go, go and let go. Holding it like this is actually slowing you down. And it also makes you more spikeable.
Yeah. I think I do end up getting spiked here. Oh, never mind. It wasn't this game.
Yeah, let's see. Bit of holding glider. You watch that, sorry, I was typing. Walk up, look for some stuff, just get out. Chill, grappling hook, heal, okay. Or look for something doesn't pan out. You can hit the fruit there, that was right next to you, for some healing, by the way. The ones in Vein Grove. These things right here, these things heal you if you hit them.
Yeah.
Let's see. So one thing I would do here personally that it looks like you're trying to avoid is I see that the Celeste is last alive. I would actually try to look for the third party here. You're playing the most mobile character in the game, or at the very least one of the most mobile, top 3 for sure. And so I feel like, especially with grappling hook, you'd be able to get out of most scenarios, and this can net you a kill pretty easily. And it looks like the rest of your team is pretty safe too. It's not like you're playing or like trying to get out to live, right? I think you could look for a third party opportunity right there. Maybe just like dump an ult and then run away or something. But I think it's worth looking for the kill, because right now all you're going to be doing is farming. There's not really much going on the map. So I think looking for the third party there was correct.
Okay.
And then that person ends up going down. Even if you die, I think your team can res you pretty easily. They're all in safe positions. Though that's something you should be keeping in mind when you're looking for those third parties, is whether or not your team is going to be able to get off a res if it goes bad. Or if they can't, you can just go for non-committal options. Let's see. So right now... So I'm somewhat confused about your game plan. Do you know why I'm confused about your game plan?
Why is that?
Actually, let's do it like this. What do you think happened in like the last 30 seconds or so that we've been watching that seems incongruent with how I'd want to play the game? Does anything
Um,
like stand out to you?
my thought process in this kind of sequence is okay. I looked for opportunities to like kill or get an advantage, and then I didn't really see anything that I could do. So then I recalled because it's day two, and then I just try to farm up to keep like pace with the map like strength. And then at this point, like after we use replicator, I kind of just went out and tried to find another opportunity.
My problem is it looks like you're, I mean, obviously you're like a little bit behind because you have to go farm up and whatnot, right? Which is correct for you to do. But you have a soul over here and you still have the endless reaper that are both available for you to take for free strength right now. And it looks like you're trying to play the game to go or fish for those kills to third party or whatever, right? But at the same time, you're not going for things like the pick on the Celeste over here. So that's why I'm saying that it feels kind of weird to me, because if you want to play a more macro styled game and you want to like get objectives to be able to power up because you feel you're weaker than the lobby, which you are, you have two objectives that are right here that are literally free because you have UAV and you know where every single team is. So you know both of these objectives are free. And then on top of that, it gets your team all grouped up together and you can look to push people out of the map from there. But you just you end up recalling, which neuters your tempo, but then as your tempo is neutered, you're not looking for like objectives and whatnot. You're just getting levels, which is like okay. I feel like basically what I'm getting at is I feel like if you want to play the slow game, you should be going for the objectives. And if you want to be the fast game, things like that third party that I saw you not take right there are things that you should be looking for. So you're like playing a middle ground right now, which is why I say it's like non-congruent. I feel like you should be going, or if you're going for one direction, you should be going more in that direction, if that makes sense.
Gotcha. That's fair. I don't know. Do you usually go for souls and stuff in solo queue? I feel like it's super slow. No.
It depends on the soul. Like right here, I wouldn't go for the damage soul personally. I mean, I would have went for the third party thing on the Celeste. That's how I would have played the game. I would have went for the third party on the Celeste, potentially look for the kill on the Brawl as well. And then if I couldn't get that, I would just like dip out, reset, get a little bit of farm, maybe look to go engage again. But what you did instead is you ended up recalling because you wanted to get levels and whatnot. But once you're going for that play, you already killed your tempo. You already said that you're not looking for the third parties. You should probably just go for the soul at that point.
Okay, fair. Yeah, I think the Celeste thing as well is because I am getting like I knew Clap's team was behind us, and I know they're also like a 3-stack legend crew. So I was not very confident that like number one I could secure the kill, and that number two I could get out.
I think with Oath you can get out. I don't feel like I can't run away from any character in the game. I feel like, especially since the way you're gonna third party is gonna be extremely non-committal, like you can just ult and then leave, and then per your ult gets a kill, for example, right? If you feel like it's dangerous, it's a super easy non-committal third party that just does so much damage. You're doing 700 per rectangle. It's disgusting.
Yeah, that's fair.
Good third party opportunity. You guys end up flanking these guys. I think actually earlier over here, you actually see the team, right? On the UAV. So you know where they're coming from. Rather than going up behind them like this, I think it's better if you guys cut them off down on this right side by the wind ring. Do you see my cursor?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's better if you cut them off down on this side over here. That way, they have their backs to the storm. They're fighting the team behind them, and you can potentially route both teams. The way you did it, as we're going to see here, you're going to pick up on like 1 or 2 kills, and the other team is just going to escape to the right side over here, which is what they end up doing from the looks of it. I think you should have came from the bottom side and pinched them like that.
Yeah, you're right. Probably would have been better. I probably shouldn't have ulted there either.
Yeah, ult unnecessary, but pretty obvious from looking at it. So it is getting removed, but one thing I'm not seeing you doing is you're not pod racing in the middle of combat. And it can be a little bit dangerous, especially because you can get spiked. But like right here, what is stopping you from pod racing to get closer to this guy?
Yeah, I should have. Yeah.
You're looking around, you're fishing for kills. Blah, blah. Kingpin looks like he gets a kill. Go and recall. You're a lunatic for going in like this. Jesus Christ.
You wouldn't have taken this?
True. So like, maybe if I looked at the names, I would. But if I think of like if the enemy, maybe looking at nameplates, I would have taken it just because I don't know who any of these people are. But you have shield broken.
Yeah,
You just use your left shift. You have no cooldowns. You have no ultimate. You don't even have glider jet. Realistically, you're a dead man here. Even the jewel can kill you right now. Your shield is broken. You should actually just be dead on my screen.
Yeah, that's fair.
But then he ends up gliding. Yeah, new players, so it's gonna happen. But yeah, this is just like abusing new players more so than anything. Not much to say, I guess. Get some kills. All right. I like that you decided to dip out immediately instead of trying to save your teammates. So you can go for the play for the res. Getting spiked.
That's right. That's spiked.
Yeah. Not good,
Not
obviously, but I do like that you dipped out really fast the second you saw that you're getting third partied and you have no cooldowns, so there's nothing you can do. Realistically, you'll never end up winning that fight, so this gives you the best odds. A lot of players would stay in that position, so I think good heads up play. Obviously, you end up losing there. So I think I should probably watch one more VOD before I make like big sweeping comments. One of the things I noticed is that when you glider, a lot of the time, especially over the abyss, you end up glidering super early, which makes it so you have a habit of getting spiked. Or like you make it easier for you to get spiked. You also, one big thing I noticed too is around characters like Brawl or Jhin is I feel like you're not respecting the dunked. There were like two opportunities where if the enemy Brawl, one of them was the Vein Grove boss fight, where you're moving over abyss without using your cooldowns, meaning that you give them an opportunity to spike you. There was one time you played around it, I'm not sure if it was intentional, but you glider jet and left shifted to get over the abyss nearly instantly, so the Brawl had no time to react. That was a good play. I'm not sure if that was intentional or not. If it was, good job.
You mentioned the gliding too early.
Yeah, all right, here.
Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, here, I'll bring up an example of that. So, where's your... So, right here you can see you literally start gliding instantly. You don't let go of your glider at all. So this is what I'm talking about the habit of just like holding down glider. You should be letting go of the glider as you're passing through the rings, not only because it moves you faster, because it makes you less susceptible to spikes. Let me see if there's another example. Things like here,
sure,
you see a team right in front of you on the UAV. You're holding down glider here, not scouting out for them and whatnot. You're glidering this entire time, by the way. You could have easily just been hit from any angle right there. You would have been stunned and likely dead instantly because of it, right? That happens a lot throughout the game. This is just one example of it. It's something that we'll look into in the next game. It's likely a habit that'll show up there as well, but something I just want you to keep in mind. It's not like a big thing, or it is a big thing, but it's easy to fix, so it's not a big deal.
Okay, that's a good suggestion.
All right, let me go ahead and pull up the other VOD. So this game, you have a Bebo, a Void, and a Jewel on your team. How does Brawl interact with that team comp?
I think realistically he doesn't like synergize that well. Maybe with like a good Jewel, you guys can finish each other's kills off. Get people to execute range, like kind of play off each other that way. Similar to Bebo, I guess, if he gets like a good bomb off. I don't find that much synergy with Void, especially in this comp. Like yeah, he can get you across walls and stuff, but yeah. So my duo is Cowboy Bebo here, but I'm playing very solo queue mindset. So I'm just like playing for myself, not playing too much with my team.
And
would you agree with that statement, by the way? That Brawl and Void don't synergize very well together?
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why we stopped playing the Void is because we can't have it synergize with the Brawl, even though we think that the Void is very powerful.
Gotcha. Okay. Just confirming my...
They both want to do like opposite things, right? Like Void wants to play a more controlled game. Brawl wants to just like hard send it and go forward, right? But Void can't really follow up on that because his movement takes a while and it's telegraphed, and he's more of like a zone controller rather than just like a character who has like a go button. They're like basically opposite in character design. So obviously right
Yeah.
here, the random drops you in Narnia. This is, I mean, I'm sure you already know this is a terrible drop.
Yep.
Just go ahead and skip forward a bit. You go over to the grind. Actually, I'm somewhat surprised you end up going grind here. What I think you should do, you mentioned like splitting off from your teammates and whatnot, and Game Over is doing it right now on the Bebo, right? He's going bot side. I think what you should do is you should go Enshrine here and farm the entirety of Enshrine, and then let your team go to grind because that's their game plan, right? So you get ahead by going Enshrine and taking all this farm. You deny the enemies the farm by going Enshrine, and then you can move towards the middle of the map to grab a bonfire over here. So your team can rotate in and you can start taking fights with your advantage from having grind farm, from having Cold Fang farm, and from having the Enshrine farm.
Yeah. I don't know if you can hear comms from the VOD, but I did tell the team I wanted them to go Enshrine or the Sky Rats. I ideally wanted grind for myself so I could pick up mana battery.
Or yeah, but yeah, the correct idea is that one of you guys need to split. I think it's best for you to split because you're the brawl, but I also think it's best for you to like go in early like that because once again you're the brawl, so you're most likely to be able to get a bonfire or something for your team, and you have the best way of escaping from the enemy team. Whereas like, if a void goes over there, he's gonna have a harder time running away from any of the characters that want to chase him down, right? And it's better if you get ahead regardless. It also lines up more with your game plan of get ahead, go to middle of the map, and start fighting teams and hitting UAVs and whatnot, right? Whereas your team's probably not going to end up doing that. Going for mana battery over here, I mean, that's good. And obviously, like, glider jets and whatnot, you can go for as well, which are very strong. Let's see. To get your tome, blah, blah, blah. Probably going to farm underworlds from here. I think it's obvious if I point it out now, but you should be hitting the UAV. There's no reason not to. It's just free intel on enemy teams, where they are.
Yeah, true.
Okay, so you hit your level 7. You're in the middle of the map. What is your goal right now?
Collect intel, look for third party.
Correct. You see pings over here. That's good for us. You see the level 4. I'm surprised you see that they're level 4 like that, and you don't immediately just start sending on them.
I definitely should have.
Go back and rewatch this fight. So obviously we agree you should have full sent on him immediately. The second you saw he was level 4 over there and you're level 7 on Brawl. Huge power spike for you. Shift can't fight back, especially since he's not 7. Here, I'm still surprised you're not playing more aggressively. I feel like you can fish for him. You have bonfire vision over here as well. You're like waiting for the Shiv to push forward, but I feel like realistically the Shiv shouldn't be pushing forward like this. So he's already made the mistake, but you take a long time to punish it. You could have easily just like walked away here and you wouldn't have been able to get the kill, right?
Yeah, I think I was a little scared here just because I wasn't sure if he had someone with him.
Well, if he does have someone with him, you're still playing Brawl, right? You have all of your mobility skills off of cooldown right now. Worst case, you have air rings to take out too. There are so many ways you can escape from here. You have your ultimate ability. You can outplay everything. I feel like if I were to watch Heights play here, for example, he would have just, I mean, he would have full centered on the level 4 Shiv. But even if this guy was level 6, the second this guy comes into vision and you don't see anyone surrounding him, he would have full centered on this guy.
Yeah, that's fair.
And not much to say there. Kill a dude. Alright, Night Boss. Team contests you. You're level 7 right now, so you're power spiked. I actually think... Wait, hold on. Let me see. When does this team pull up? Where do you see them? You see them through the wind rings here. You go nearly immediately. Okay.
I fucked up here. I could have won that. Yeah, I shouldn't have dashed forward.
Realistically, I actually don't think you can win this because the Shiv ends up getting his ult off of this. I think the better play for you is to just kill the ISO Felix. The second you see the Kingpin jump over here, you should just immediately turn on the Felix and kill him with your team. He's level 6, he has no ult, he has no way of escaping. He's just dead. And then you use that as a means to escape. I
Fair.
don't think you're realistically 1v4ing this fight. The enemy team is too big at that point.
If my RMB landed and I didn't like dash forward there, I would have got alt reset though. Probably one, no? Like she'd be dead if I hit the RMB. It was weird though, because she dashed twice, but she didn't move anywhere. So I thought she would go further.
I feel like in my head, the fight should not end up playing out like this. I'm pretty sure looking back at this, even though you could have potentially killed the Shiv, the better play is for you to just look on the Felix. It's the more guaranteed play.
Yeah, that's fair.
And this play only ends up even remotely working out because all three of them stack on top of your ult here, which is just like pretty hindsighty. Like, do you think if you play this fight out 30 times, if you play this fight out 30 times, all three of them get hit by ults here?
No.
This is like maybe like the 1 in 30 where all three of them get hit by ults, right? It's just like not realistic the amount of healing you get from this and the value you get from damage.
Yeah, looking back to, actually, I'm not sure if I had enough info to make this decision, but I probably should have played north of the boss instead of south of it.
Or go ahead.
Just so like if I did see the pings on the wind ring, I could look for a spike opportunity better.
I think here you can't do that because you don't have information of anywhere. They can come from bottom side, and if you're playing north side, you're going to make the same argument about that. I think playing in the middle here is always correct because it gives you the most opportunity to react to any of the things. You just accept the fact that you're not going to be able to dunk them, but it gives you the most playability in any scenario.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. Mainly the mistake was not just going on the solo Felix.
Yeah,
okay.
Their whole team uses their dashes to get over here. Felix is also your way of getting out of this fight too, if you need to. So you can just collapse on the Felix here. He has no way of getting out. Worst case, he ends up going over here, and then not much happens. But like, imagine this fight.
I'm not confident I would have beat the Felix though.
Well, you have your team with you, right? I think you can assume that your team would come with you. These two, your duo with the Bebo as well, who also has ult. I feel like you can assume that they would collapse with you when 3 people come over to this side. But I'm also pretty confident you can beat the Felix in the 1v1 when you have ults. You just the ult early before the anti-heal for the healing. You can't save it.
Okay.
Actually, you see him use heat shield here, so he actually has no anti-heal. You guaranteed win this then. Oh yeah, that's another thing too. Or actually, no. I guess there's like a bunch of things that could happen in hindsight, but you could have easily just been anti-healed before you went in there, and I feel like you would have went in anyway.
Yeah, probably.
Go forward. You're farming, new day cycle. You're just going to get some levels, blah, blah, blah. You see a team below you. All right, let's see.
I should have ulted the Zeph ult. I forced
Correct.
my reset.
But I actually think the mistakes come earlier. I'm surprised. I mean, you kind of do go on one of these guys, but I feel like you go on these guys in an extremely weird way. You know that the Shiv's team is over here because of where the Zeph is hovering. So you know that he has to go back that way. And if he ever goes down, he's going to die. I don't feel like immediately like tethering into him like this is necessarily a good play. But also, I feel like you could maybe even just like hard send on the Zeph and then force him into you, and then force the Shiv to come into you, and then just start hitting the Shiv as he comes into you. Make sure you ult before the anti-heal comes off. All that stuff, right? I feel like there are 2 different ways to play out this fight where you could have gotten value here because they're both somewhat isolated, and you ended up going with the option of full sending it past the Shiv, past where he's not going to run to. Or basically, here's a better way of saying this. You are covering the Shiv's 1 out, which is coming over this way to regroup with the Zeph, right? But the way you end up sending yourself ends up putting yourself in a way where you can't cover him going back toward that Zeph. So now he just gets out for free. Do you agree with that?
Okay. Yeah.
It goes in, unlucky glider.
She could have ran bottom right though, right?
Well, she runs bottom right. She's running away from her teammates. You have her more ISO. You can just like hard chase her after that. No?
Okay. Yeah, that's true.
I feel like you mentioned this before with the tunnel vision. Your pathing here doesn't make sense relative to how you see the Shiv moving on the map. So
yeah,
we see
right about that.
Yeah, we see the Shiv coming down from up here, and you go all the way around here. Now it works out because you're Brawl, and so you have the most mobility in the game, and you can just like get on top of the Shiv again because like Shiv's not gonna be able to run away like this. But you could have easily just pathed like this through the abyss and then caught up to him 2 seconds earlier. And there's going to be times where that matters.
Yeah.
You get res. Much to talk about here. Blah, blah, blah. The guy runs away. Okay.
So this is kind of a noob question, but do characters show up differently if they're Wisp on your minimap?
They're like grayed out, I think, or they're like blinking or something. I'll
I
see
think in
if I
my
can show it.
head, I saw the KP, and I assumed he was alive, so I went that way. But yeah, I definitely should have went for the Shiv instead.
One thing you're doing a lot of here is you're spamming swings instead of spamming the ranged LMBs or just like not auto attacking at all. Every time you swing, if you look at the bottom right, every swing lowers your move speed. So every single time you're doing this, you're putting more distance, or you're letting the Shiv get whatever distance they want more easily. Look at your move speed every single time you auto. You'll notice that it's like bouncing down. So that means you need to auto on every single character. This is true. You only auto when it's like pretty guaranteed that you'll get the value. And on Brawl specifically, you have another option of being able to use your range LMB. So this whole time you're swinging, and you're just getting negative value. And you continue doing it for like 3 extra swings. Something. I mean, it doesn't matter here because this guy just gets rolled. But there's going to be a lot of times where I feel like if I watch back these fights, you're going to be swinging like that at range, and you're not using your range LMBs, but also you're trying to gap close, and you're slowing yourself down as you're trying to do it, which can hurt you.
Yep.
Let's see. Like, here's another example where you're throwing melee autos instead of just ranged autoing him. Swinging again. Yeah, we see it quite often. I have a feeling if you watch back on the VODs, you're going to see this a lot now, once it's pointed out. Actually, now that I thought about it, I'll probably notice it more here too. You're just running away. Not really much to say about this fight. Started off poorly. Ends poorly. You're going to dip out. Let me see if I think there's much you could have done. We're getting some value on him. The Felix ults, you have to dip out. Okay, that's good. Heal up. I feel like when I'm watching these fights, your R&B is off cooldown extremely often. For a skill that has a 2.5 second cooldown. This thing should be giga spammed.
Yeah.
Like, what's stopping you from R&Bing the Brawl here?
Yeah, nothing. I should be doing that.
And then same with the Jhin over here. Instead of R&Bing the Jhin, you're auto attacking him.
Yeah. I think I'm like still in last patch mindset where the LMB is much more useful.
Well, even with the LMB, even last patch, I think it was still R&Bing and just like spamming that thing is the way to play Brawl. But yeah, especially on this patch and future patches, they're trying to shift it more towards R&B. This thing needs to always be on cooldown. And there's so many, and if you watch that fight, there's like 4 different opportunities for you to R&B where this thing is off cooldown. We just don't use it.
Yep.
1. Could have R&B'd the Felix there. Actually, maybe not with the Baneling, but I probably wouldn't have noticed that. I would have went for it personally. Could have R&B'd here. We do end up doing it, but it's super late. And then, yeah, at this point, we just dip out. I think you could have R&B'd there as well to get the Jhin off of you, guaranteed. Hitting the LMBs doesn't do too much, but hitting an R&B knocks him back. Right, let's see here. Ooh. Ooh. That boy's kind of clean with it. Shit. For the dunk, get a nice dunk. Kind of risky. So here's the thing, too, about going for this dunk. It works out, because Felix is a noob. But against good players, what happens if you wait for this dunk here?
I die.
Yeah.
Or he just cancels it and R&Bs me.
Yeah. So it works out here, but I actually think it's a bad play. I think against better teams, you have a more realistic chance of getting out if you just try to charge R&B away. I actually see Jins do that a lot too, where they'll try to like get the E2, and if you just stare at them over the abyss, your team just catches up, and now you just run the Jhin down. Let's see. You go for res here, not much to say. Get the res, blah blah blah, farming. Hmm. Have you guys hit the UAV at all the entire time you're in here? No, you hit the academy one. I feel like you should be hitting the UAV at any point during this.
Yeah, I should.
Also, you have 3.9k gold. You're not repairing your armor, even though you ran by bonfire like 30 times. Just inexcusable. That's also very simple to fix. All right. What do you think about the state of the game currently? Like, how would you evaluate it?
I would say we're probably the weakest team. My thought process is either wait to see if the other two teams start fighting and I could look for a third party, or kind of just hold my position and like kite if they end up coming onto us. But yeah, state of the game, like we're definitely the weakest team in the lobby right now.
Yeah, I agree with the assessment. I agree with what your game plan should be. You probably shouldn't be looking to take a head-on fight here, so challenging this guy like this and like playing up in his face, especially with your team not near you, is kind of ego. I feel like you're egoing the Jhin right now, and I don't think that's congruent with your game plan. It's probably better if you're just with your team after hitting the UAV and you just rip the soul, and then your team just moves away and plays together. Right now the soul is 39, or is it 99%? They weren't even hitting. No, it's 39%. We're just like not even touching it at all. So that soul ends up happening to be useless. Let's see how this fight ends up playing out. So, one thing I find strange is this whole time, you don't have vision of any of his teammates, right? You also have HP, and they're giving you the opportunity to reset when you're behind. But instead of taking that opportunity, you end up full sending it in. There could have easily just been someone right here, and then you just die right now. But honestly, like, looking at my screen, these two should have just killed you instantly. I don't know how you're not forced to ult or anything. They just, like, let you live. But you said earlier that you're, like, the weakest team in the lobby, and then not only are you weaker than the people that you see on your screen, you have no vision as you're engaging here, and then you're also already behind because you're down on HP and armor. And instead of taking the free reset they just gave you, you're trying to look for an opportunity to go in when it feels like there is no opportunity.
Yeah, you're right. I think this was definitely ego. I know they're the legend 3-stack, but I'm also confident I can beat each of them 1v1, so I think I just went for it. But yeah, definitely should have just went and reset there.
I end up dying, which is honestly kind of hilarious. Probably shouldn't happen. But now at this stage, you guys should be the strongest team in the lobby. You got 2 kills, so just make sure they don't res and then play the game out. You get a pick on the other team, actually. So now you know both teams are down. So, oops. Both teams are down players now. You ended up finessing somehow and getting kills on both teams. So you're the strongest team in the lobby. How do you want to play it out from here?
Gatekeep res spots. Preferably target Madley's team, which is the better team mechanically.
Correct. And so you're moving over to the red spots now. That's good. Covering top side. I didn't actually see if there was a crown on the map or not right now. There is, but it's down south. He pings down there. So if you're committing to this fight against the Void, which you are, I feel like you should be committing your ults the second you see him using his right click like this. Because realistically, what should happen is this right click hits you, and then you immediately get ulted, and then you're either never getting the kill or you're dying, right? But your ult is still up this whole time. We're lucky because he ends up missing the right click, but a better player right here would have you dead. Or at the very least, you're out of the fight, and now you can no longer kill him. So the second you see this icon above his head, you have to commit your ult, or you have to ego him and dash away. But realistically, what you can do is you can commit your ult to that, and then you can just dash out of his ult, and then you can guaranteed kill him from there. I think that's the better way to play this 1v1.
Yep, fair. Yeah. No, that's very fair. I definitely died a void too often where it could be avoided.
Avoided? You're very funny.
And I probably shouldn't have dashed, glided there.
You see a ghost on your screen, it can easily dash kill you. Control, you have no vision of anyone over here. Yeah. Gliding seems a little bit suicidal. I think going for the tether on him is the wrong play. You just tether this or you tether this and go forward. This is the RNG and makes it harder to kill him if you end up missing. And hitting him doesn't really make it any easier to kill him, because if you hit it on here or here, you're still going to get the same momentum going into him, right? There's no point to tether him.
Right.
Let's see. So, while we're fighting this team, all right, yeah. While we're fighting the other team, it looks like Madly's team got off the res. Earlier, when I was talking to you, you identified the fact that that team is probably the strongest in the lobby, so you want to deny them the res. But then we ended up fighting the other team. I think once you get like 1 or 2 picks on the other team, it might be better to just go run and try and deny the other team the res, rather than looking for kills on that team. Unironically, what you can do is you can kill them, and then just put them in bad conditions, just leave them alone, and then just go run down Madly's team before they get their reses off. But now they have 3 members instead of the 1 they had before, I think. I think they had 1.
I really fuck up here. I'm pretty sure I throw the whole game here.
Yeah, if you end up dying to the crown, then yeah, not really much to say there. You know what you did wrong. Not really worth talking about. I think you got tunnel vision. I mean, you mentioned the tunnel vision thing. You know your game plan is to destroy the other strong team in the lobby, and you want to run them down, but then you got distracted by the team that was weak and kept chasing them, even though you know they're not a threat, and you'll never have to worry about them because you'll always beat them in a 1v1, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what you should be doing is, instead of, or here, we'll go back to that area. Instead of looking for this team and like constantly killing them, you're already like down them over here or whatever, right? What you should do is you should, from this point, instead of continuing to go forward and hunting these guys down, you should just go back to the other team, because you know this team is giga-fucked. They'll never win a fight against you ever again. They're in poor conditions and everything. Actually, I think does the Void die here? The Void doesn't die here. The Void should die here, but in case he gets lucky, gets out. Once you kill the Shiv, they're down to 2 members. You just go back, you go kill the other team. Even if they get up, it doesn't matter. What does matter is if the other team reses, it makes the game hard to win. And even if you're better than them, it still makes it like a, maybe we'll say like a 20% chance that that team ends up winning because they ended up getting their whole team alive, right? Maybe someone ends up getting caught or something, or you end up misplaying or whatever in a 4v4, and it's so much harder, right? Which actually ends up happening here. Whereas if you go for them, you start hunting them down, and they're like only 2 members without deathbox resing or anything, they're just turbo screwed, and you will never lose to the other team. What are the big takeaways from this? Inside of the fights, you are, or I'll write these down. So inside, using too many melee LMBs when they don't have the chance to hit. R&B is on cooldown too often, or is off cooldown, I should say, is off cooldown too often. Using ultimate to dodge key abilities, void stun. There's not much from this game. This is the biggest issues I saw for Brawl. So big issues that I saw were the habit of holding your glider. That was weird. You mentioned tunnel visioning, or yeah, tunnel visioning. I'm noticing that as well. So the best way you can control tunnel visioning, it's gonna suck in the middle of the game because it's gonna ruin your tempo, but it'll bring your focus back to the game. Is you just need to constantly be talking about it in your mind that you have a habit of tunnel visioning. Fuck against me. Tunnel visioning, and just constantly think about that. And naturally, by thinking about that, you will stop tunnel visioning. So if you bring it up in literally every single fight that you need to focus on your teammates, you need to focus on the minimap, and you think about that, your mechanics are going to decline during that fight, but you're going to bring your mind to a different spot. So keep in mind, as you're thinking about tunnel visioning less, you're going to have worse mechanics and you're going to lose fights that you shouldn't. But it's necessary. You'll naturally just get better at that as you do it more. It's something I suffer or am pretty bad at too, and it's something I'm trying to work on more recently because it's lost me a good amount of games, or at least makes me miss position. One thing that I noticed Height do a lot is that he will preemptive ult inside of fights extremely early. So we'll see, like, obviously right here, you don't ult the Zeth ult or whatever. That's bad, right? But I would see like Height like ult even in like that position right there, because or we see another one where like the Void right click comes out, we don't ult it, right? And obviously you already said this is a misplay, so we both know it is. But I feel like it happens extremely often in fights where it feels like you're trying to hold on your ults for longer amounts of time than you need to, when you can just get resets with your R&B and just get your ults back, or you can just get a bunch of value from poking with your ults. You can even consider your ults as like a poke tool for your first engage. I think that might be a good way of viewing it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Using ult as poke tool.
To be honest, I did expect the Zeph to die with that R&B, and I just didn't react to the ult. But yeah, you're right. I definitely need to use the ult more preemptively.
Well, like, even if he dies here to the ult, you still have the R&B from the Void coming out here, so you can die pretty easily as well from that, right? Maybe the ult doesn't come out here, but the Void can do that, and then bomb, and then Kingpin comes. Because you see the Void R&B right here, you see the animation above his head, and it hits you. Right. It actually stuns you, so you can't even ult here. That's why you don't ult. Or, yeah, I see the buffer afterward. But that happened in the other fights as well, where I felt like you're holding onto your ult for a long time. I think you can just think about your ult as a tool to gain early HP pressure on the enemy.
Okay.
It's also a super low cooldown too, right? It's like 20 seconds. So like even if you use it at the start of the thing or whatever, it gets botched. You can even like just like super slow play a fight, just throw ranged LMBs and then just wait for it to come back up, even if you don't get the reset with RMB. Or rather, I guess I could turn it to you. Is there anything you want to ask questions about, or anything you want like clarification on?
I don't know. I think I'm stuck in this this negative mental loop that like solo queue is just impossible. But I definitely like especially this game. This game was definitely winnable if I just didn't misplay.
I think a lot of solo queue games are impossible, but I think the reason why you're feeling like that is because you're focusing more on the result of winning rather than the result of improving. I think if you looked at solo queue as a means to like get your mechanics up rather than as like an LP simulator where you just gain LP, because we both know that solo queue is just like there's nothing that really comes from it, right? Like no one cares about your LP unless you're like Heights, Giga rank 1 or whatever, right? Literally no one cares. No one cares about who rank 3 legend is. I couldn't even name them if I tried. It literally doesn't matter. So if you keep that in mind and remember that your goal is just to improve so that way you can win for tournaments, and then you go into each game trying to focus on like maybe 1 or 2 specific things for that game, you'll see massively faster results for yourself, and I feel like you'll be more satisfied with the game even if you end up losing a lot.
So
regardless
in my next couple games that I will play, what would you recommend? Like what kind of mindset should I play with, you know?
When I enter solo queue, I try to go with that improvement mindset I was talking about just now. Are you asking for like clarification on like how to like achieve that, or could you like clarify what you want?
You mentioned like, okay, in fights I just have to be more mindful that like I do tunnel vision a lot. So that's like one thing. I do want to go into these games with the mindset that I want to improve. I'm just not sure like exactly what kind of playstyle I have to play for that to happen.
Okay, I think I see what you mean. So
yeah.
Or actually no, go ahead.
Because I do feel like I'm already entering, like I really don't care about my RP. That's why I solo queue and not 4-stack. I'm just trying to get better, but I don't know. I'm just not too sure what else I can do. Like the tunnel visioning thing is a good add-on. On top of that, is there anything else you would recommend?
Yeah, so I DM'd you some notes that I think you can work on for characters specifically that I was taking during the thing, tooltips in general. But what I think you should do in order to actually achieve these goals is during the game, you need to consciously remind yourself that this is what you're working on. So what I do personally is I take notes like this about things I need to improve and I put them on a notepad. And after every single game, I look at that notepad and I assign maybe 1 or 2 of these that I want to work on the next game. And every single game, maybe not literally every single game, but most games I play, I'll do this. And while I might not be able to achieve whatever I'm looking for in that game, maybe I do tunnel vision in the game or whatever, I know that it's on the forefront of my mind, and that's the best way I'll be able to get practice on it, right? So for tunnel visioning, for example, tunnel visioning, for example, if that's something I want to work on, which it is, what I'll do is I'll say, I'm a tunnel visioner. So what I need to do is instead of worrying about my mechanics, I will let my mechanics suffer, and I will think only about my team and their positioning throughout the entirety of the fight. And while, yes, I will break that fight and I will play worse as a result of it, what will happen is I will build up that muscle memory for not tunnel visioning and keeping in mind where my teammates are throughout the entirety of the game. And as I do that more, I'll get more used to it. And then eventually, maybe say like 10 games down the line of me inting my ass off, it'll become more of a habit for me to where I'm not even thinking about it. One example of this is powers. When you first played with powers, it was probably very difficult for you to use them, right? You don't even know what a glider jet is. So when you end up picking one up, you have to actively think about what to do with it, right? But as you play with glider jet more, if you pick it up now, you probably don't even think about the fact that you have glider jet, right? You're just like, oh, boom, you go fast, right? The same thing is going to happen with tunnel visioning. So you need it to be on the forefront of your mind, which is why I recommend putting it on a notepad and constantly reminding yourself in between every single game, every time you're in queue, this is what I need to work on. Now, there are other things you can work on as well that I've pointed out. So like one thing could be is if you notice your brawl mechanics, for example, I pointed out the RMBs need to be on cooldown more because I'm noticing it's off cooldown a lot when you could be getting a lot of value out of it. Another thing I pointed out, you use too many melee LMBs when you are slowing yourself down and it has no chance of hitting the enemy. When you could be either not using LMBs at all, so you don't slow yourself down, or you can be using ranged LMBs and trying to get value that way because those can actually hit and do damage. So maybe that's something you think of, and as you're approaching team fights, you think about using your RMB off cooldown, not 100% of the time, but like actively trying to use it more and more and seeing more situations for it to come out. And maybe think about using your LMBs less. Is that helpful?
That is very helpful. Yeah, thank you.
Did I answer the question, or do you want me to expand more?
No, I think that's good. Yeah, I just gotta kind of put it to practice now.
Cool. And I will say that if you, well, that's the method I choose to approach for learning games. If you want to, what you can do is you can VOD review your own games. And if you notice other things come up in other games, like obviously we only watch 2 games here, so I'm not gonna notice every single habit or whatever you have that maybe needs fixing or you could improve on, right? If you watch your own games and you notice that there are mistakes being made that you make often, such as you pointed out yourself, the glidering too much, right? If you notice things like that, you can write them down and actively work on ironing them out going into the future game. I have nothing else on my end. Anything else you want to say, or we call it here?
No. Yeah, I really appreciate you doing this, man.
Yeah, no problem.
Good insight.
I mentioned it before. If you like this kind of content, make sure you let me know. I want to know if you like this kind of coaching content. If you want to see more stuff like that, maybe for other characters, or maybe just like different people with like different skill sets, I want to know if you like it or not. If you don't like it, I won't do it anymore. And if you do like it, then I will do it. All right? It's as simple as that. Make sure you subscribe and follow and all that stuff. And I'll see y'all next time.